Today we're going to go over some woodworking tips that are going to make it so much easier for you to do certain things in your wood shop. So make sure to stay tuned until the end so you can get all these tips in and try them out and see if they work for you. And let me know what you think about these tips down in the comments below. So let's say that we need to cut this piece at 15 inches. We're going to put a little mark there. Now, first good idea to do is to take a square, put it up against the edge of that mark, and once we've got it up against the edge of that mark, we want to mark a line all the way down. The reason why we want to do that is because it's going to help us keep track if that blade goes straight. Now, here's the next thing. When it comes to a saw blade, these are either a 1/16 or an 1/8 of an inch thick. It's called the kerf. When we cut into this material, what that's going to do is it's going to remove, in my case, a 1/8 of an inch strip of material. And so if this is our good side, we want to make sure the blade is on this side of the line, or else this piece is going to be too short. So what I do is I put an X. What the X does is it tells me what side the blade is going to go on. We can then line the edge of the carbide tooth up and cut the piece. Just like that. And now, if we look at our measurement, we are exactly 15 inches. Now, when you store your saw blades, one of my biggest concerns is worrying that the teeth are going to stay in good condition and are not going to rub up against everything else. In addition to that, to make sure that I'm not going to get cut by those blades. Now, I've got some good industrial blades, and when I have to store a blade, I swap out between a crosscut and a ripping blade on my table saw. When I have to store a blade, I use tubing that you can pick up at your local hardware store. And it's very simple to do this. All you do is take the tubing and a knife, and you create a slit all the way down the entire length. And you want to take this and kind of wrap it around the blade as much as you can, just to make sure that you're going to get the right length. But then what it allows you to do is to push that tubing right over top of the carbide teeth. It doesn't always stay at the end, but that's fine. You could put a piece of tape here too. But it allows all of those carbide teeth to be covered. In addition to that, I can now handle this blade without getting my hand cut. In addition to that, when I store it, especially if I stack one blade on top of another, it's going to leave a space in between the blades, so there is no metal on metal contact. So if you're ever joining a joint together, and one of the things you're going to have a really difficult time doing is getting it to stay steady and apply enough pressure and actually be held in place, what you can use is CA glue. So we've got the adhesive itself, and then we've got an accelerator. And what you can do is you can actually mix it with the wood glue itself. So we can put a bead of glue on here. Now this is going to take about 30 minutes to set. We don't want to hold it for that much time. So we're going to take a dab, put a dab of CA glue here. Then we're going to put another one here. And we're going to put another one here. So now we've got 3 dabs of CA glue. So we're going to stick this in the center like that. Now, while we're holding it in place, we want to spray it with the accelerator, which is going to solidify the CA glue immediately. One of the things you need to be very, very careful of is not to get the CA glue on your hands, because if you do that and spray the accelerator, it is not going to go well. So we're just going to go 1, 2, 3, and that's going to soak in. Now, once that soaks in, and that's all you need, you don't need a lot, but once that soaks in, we are now going to be held in place, which is great. If you wanted to, you can turn it around and you can spray the other side if it needs it, just to make sure that we've got a nice secure bond. But now this is held in place and it's pinched down. As you can see, I can turn this sideways. It is completely sealed right here, and it's held in place. This CA glue will now allow time for the wood glue to cure. If you've got any electrical outlets like this in your wood shop, one of the things that you have to be very mindful of, and this is a really, really good safety tip. If you're going to have a lot of sawdust built up in your shop, you do not want to be allowing sawdust to go into this entry area on this outlet. The reason for that is if we get a buildup of sawdust on the inside and that sawdust has a little bit of moisture, it can actually cause current to flow inside this box and start a fire. And that's not something that we want. I've seen a couple of YouTube videos now actually where that has happened. So when you have electrical outlets like this in your shop with a BX wire running in, so it's external to the wall and it's not internal inside the wall, then make sure that you vacuum these out as often as necessary. And when I say vacuum them out, this BX wire does seal this hole pretty good, but it does collect dust on top. So I put my shop vac on top and then I suck it out. About once a year, I take the cover off just to make sure that I don't have a buildup of sawdust inside. We don't want to start a fire. We want to keep doing our stuff. So let's make sure to keep these clean. So when it comes to tape measures, I have a preference with one that I've always had, and that has been the Stanley FatMax tape measure. And I recently tried the Fast Cap. The Fast Cap is actually really, really amazing, which is cool. Fortunately, the measurements line up identical to the Stanley, which is great. But a question for all of you is, how often does it happen when you put your tape measure down, you wander around to another tool in the shop, and now you can't remember where you put your tape measure, right? Or you just can't find it. So if that happens, here's a suggestion that I have is get some of these little guys. Okay, this is a Stanley FatMax 6-foot tape measure, same brand as this one here. The spacing and measurements on both of these tape measures, being the same manufacturer, is identical. This one comes on a cool little keychain. So what I actually do with this is I have a hook or a bolt on most of my tools in my shop, and I hang one of these little tiny tape measures on those tools. So that way, if I go over to the tool and I can't remember where I put my tape measure, I know exactly where this one is, and I can just pull it out and do my measurement no different than anything else. Okay, so let's say our next one here, I need to drill a hole right in the center of that X. When you're using a traditional drill bit, the traditional drill bit doesn't have a point on it. If you have a brad point bit, it absolutely will, and you won't need to do this method. But if you have regular bits, what will happen when you go to drill this is it's going to be a lot more difficult to find center. And when you turn it on, the bit's going to want to wander. So immediately it wandered in that direction. So in order to prevent something like that, what we need to look at doing is starting the hole. So you can use one of two things. You can use one of these, which is a center punch, or you could use a screw or a nail, which will do the exact same thing, simply by putting it right over top of the center, tapping it down a little bit, so that way it punctures a hole in the middle, which you can see right here. And now if we go like this, it's going to give the tip of our bit somewhere to seat itself so it doesn't wander. There we go, right in the center of the X. So if you look at this piece here, as you can see, we've got a little bit of squeeze out there, and we probably have some on this side too. It's just a little bit harder to see. So one of the hard parts about this squeeze out is when we have it, how do we get it out if we don't deal with it immediately? So one of the things that I do prefer to do is once I do a glue line like this, while I've got it clamped or whatnot, I'll take a wet rag and I'll try to wipe this down so there is no excess showing there, but there can always be some left. So if that does happen to you, and we need to get rid of that squeeze out in a nice clean way, then I would suggest having a glue chisel. So this is, as you can see, this is just a cheap big box store chisel that I got. Even though it is a little blackened and whatnot here, that is because I have used it for so much glue in the past, but it is still pretty sharp at the end here, which is really all that we need. And using something like this, what you're going to do is you're going to go down to the piece, and you are going to be going like this to press in, and then you're going to be flipping it over to go like that, and then we're going to be able to get that squeeze out of there. Same over here. We're going to put it in here as long as it's nice and sharp. and we're going to get rid of that squeeze out. Now, the other thing that you can also do with this is to go along the edge like this, just to try and clean it up. Just be prepared to ruin the chisel, because it's going to become your dedicated glue chisel. When you're going to build a project, one of the best things that you can do to help yourself out, make sure it's efficient, and plan everything in advance, is to draw it out. And I cannot recommend doing something like this enough. Now, I'm old school, so I still draw this out on graph paper, but you can use all kinds of programs too, SketchUp, and maybe it's AutoCAD. Maybe there's all kinds of different ones that you can use. But by taking something like this and drawing it out, you can actually see visually in front of you where all your pieces are going to go, how they're going to join together, what the lengths and thicknesses need to be. So with these plans that you create, you can also end up creating a material list, which is something that is really, really handy to have on your project. So that way, when you go out to the shop, you don't have to think about how you're going to build it, because you've already done that. You've already planned it in advance. All you need to do is execute what you've already got on paper. So if you ever have an issue with organization in your shop, one of the things that I really highly, highly recommend is building yourself something like this, which is a French cleat wall. It's very simple. These are just strips of pine cut on a 45-degree angle. And you can take anything, such as something like this, and you can make it an attachment to organize your shop. This is a piece of oak I drilled a bunch of holes in to hold the main bits that I use, and I simply glued it to a piece of plywood cut on a 45-degree angle. I can slide it in there, and I can mount that anywhere on my cleat wall, and I can change this up as often as I want to. So if you're looking for a really good way to organize your shop and build unique shelves to suit all of your tools, then this is an amazing way to do it. Okay, so this next one maybe is kind of a time filler, but it's a good thing to have no matter where you are, whether you're in the wood shop or whether you're at home or whether you're camping or whatever it might be. And that is a pocket knife. This is a Swiss Army knife, super simple. It's great to have because it comes in handy for so many things. I keep this thing razor sharp, but you never know when you're going to be in the shop and you, or anywhere else, you see a piece of wood and you're going to think to yourself, I want to whittle. And then you can just start whittling away because of that knife that you have in your pocket. Thanks so much for watching. I hope that some of these tips are going to be really helpful for you in whatever it is that you're going to be doing in your wood shop. Don't forget to hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel, and turn on that bell notification so that way you can get notified when there's new videos being released about tips and tricks or project ideas and all kinds of other things. And don't forget to leave a comment down below and let me know what you thought about these woodworking tips.